All living things respond to stimuli in their environment. Think about some of the stimuli that affect you and how you respond to it. When it becomes too cold, you can put on a jacket. When it begins to get light on weekdays, you get up and go to school. These are some examples of how you might respond to abiotic features in your environment, but you also respond to biotic factors as well. Guys, when you see a pretty girl, you might act differently to attract her attention. And ladies, if you see a girl flirting with your boyfriend, you might get defensive and tell her to leave him alone. What would you do if you found ants in your kitchen eating your favorite cereal? Do you go to the grocery store and shop for yourself? All of these situations require you to respond or interact with something else or someone who is living. Animals face similar situations and must react to biotic and abiotic elements of their environment in order to survive and reproduce. After all, for most animals, isn't that their only goal in life? Two abiotic factors that animals respond to in their environment are light and temperature. Circadian rhythms affect how we behave on a daily basis. The most obvious one is sleep, but that's not the only thing that's regulated on a 24-hour basis. A lot of our hormones are regulated on 24-hour cycles. Your blood pressure is lower in the morning than in the evening. A hormone that regulates the storage of fat is more active in the evening than in the morning. So midnight snacks will pack on more pounds than if you ate the same thing for breakfast. All of these circadian rhythms are regulated in response to light. The eye picks up light and sends a signal to your brain, which begins to build up certain proteins to tell the rest of your body what time of day it is. At night, when there's no light, these proteins break down. Many blind people have trouble sleeping because they don't receive the light cues to tell their body what time of day it is. In some plants, flowers open and close on a daily basis according to when their pollinators are most active. Other behaviors in animals are regulated on a seasonal basis due to the temperature. Some animals, like birds, migrate in search of more plentiful resources. Salmon have a very interesting migration pattern. They live in rivers and streams and reproduce there. Once baby salmon are born, they swim upstream into the ocean to find more plentiful food sources. They will then return to where they were born in order to reproduce. Another seasonal response to temperature is hibernation. Many species of bears hibernate during the winter when resources are not plentiful. They use stored resources during this time in order to survive. Many animals are social creatures, meaning they must interact with members of their own species. One example of this is courtship, or attracting a mate. More often it's the males in the species that engage in courtship behaviors. Males are able to reproduce more often than females. Since the ladies are a scarce resource, males compete for them. You're probably familiar with the beautiful feather displays of peacocks, but did you know that only the males have those beautiful feathers? Females are rather plain looking. The same goes for a bird that lives in South America called the frigate. They puff out their colorful throats in order to attract females. Other birds have elaborate feather displays on their head. Another common way to attract mates is through calling. Some birds chirp, but they're not the only ones who make noise to attract mates. Hissing cockroaches and chirping crickets also look for mates by making noise. These ways of attracting mates also make them more vulnerable to predators. But the opportunity to mate can be worth the risk of making yourself visible. It's a tricky balance animals, especially males, have to strike. Another example of how animals affect the behavior of other animals is through their claiming of a territory. The territory is a specific area that the animal occupies. Space to find food and mates is in short supply, so animals must compete over it. Not all animals are territorial, but there are some notable territorial animals. Almost all species of cats and dogs are territorial, as well as gorillas and some of their relatives. Territory can be marked in a few different ways. Probably the most common is through the use of scent. Urine and feces can be used to mark the territory. Other animals have special glands that produce chemicals called pheromones that act to mark territory. When a cat rubs itself against your leg, they're not doing it out of affection. They're claiming you as territory. This leopard is claiming its territory by creating a visual cue, by making specific scratching marks on a tree. In If another animal crosses into the territory of a leopard, or any other territorial animal for that matter, it may show aggression. Aggression is a way to communicate to the invader that they will be attacked if they don't leave. Some animals do this by making noise or showing their teeth, like this lion. In the animal world, there's power in numbers. It's easier to find food if many individuals are looking for it. It's easier to fight off predators if you're not the only one fighting. And territory is more easily defended if more than one individual is threatening the invader. Because all of these things are easier to do in a group, some animal populations form societies. Insect societies can be very impressive in terms of sheer size as well as their complex organization. Ants and bees have specific roles in their society, and termites can create mounds over 10 feet high. Different animal societies have specific names. Hyenas and dogs form packs, while elephant and buffalo form herds. Regardless of their names, animals in these societies help each other. One of the reasons scientists think animals cooperate is to ensure the success of their genes. Some evidence they have of this is the fact that animals in a society are often related. In elephant societies, grandmothers help their daughters to raise the babies in the herd. They do this to ensure the survival of the babies, so that in the future there are more elephants with their specific traits. This scientific theory is called kin selection. In other words, I'd rather help my brother survive because we're a lot alike than help this stranger survive because we don't have very much in common.